first time I experienced something similar to what's happening now, I was still a boy. I was 12 years old, but I remember it as if it had happened yesterday. "15 days in Africa, riding in the bed of a pickup truck, camping in the jungle and bathing only when we found a waterfall. It was my birthday, and as a present, my father took me on one of the greatest adventures of my life. I didn't know it at the time, but that day I was presented with something very simple, but unquestionably very valuable. I was still young, but I could feel it. I'd fallen in love with the mysterious wild world, with these animals, with nature. And in a certain way, I began suspecting that this small safari could be changing my life for good. And today, more than ever, I don't doubt this for a minute. We are in Cayman Ecological Refuge, a reserve located in the heart of the Brazilian Pantanal. Here in Pantanal, we can find 120 species of mammals, over 650 bird species, and lots of cattle. But primarily, we're in the territory of one of the most feared and coveted animals on Earth, the jaguar's territory. Or as they say it around here, the phantom of the forest.
And it is right here that a groundbreaking conservation project starts, the On Safari Jaguar project.
On Safari Jaguar project's objective is deconstructing the myth that man and jaguar cannot occupy the same space. The truth is quite the opposite. It is in fact very possible to habituate the greatest predator in the Americas to the presence of humans. This project follows a similar line to other successful projects around the world, most notably one conducted with leopards in Africa. And it was to Africa that we traveled to find the best professionals to aid us in embracing this challenge. On Safari is an intrepid project divided into 4 stages: mapping, identification, tracking, and most importantly, habituation. On Safari is also an educational and environmental awareness project that aims to prove that the jaguar is much more valuable alive than dead. We came here in August and set up a whole bunch of camera traps to try to identify the jaguars we wanted to work with. So we installed 38 camera traps. Each station has 2 cameras. So there's one on the right side and one on the left. And when an animal goes by, preferably a jaguar, it takes its picture. And the reason we have cameras on both sides is to better identify the jaguar. So we did this in August, and we're back here again in October. The results are really promising. We have a whole bunch of other animals: tapirs, cougars, lots of ocelots, and many jaguars when you come to think of it. So we're trying to choose female jaguars within the region we'd like to work in that we would be able to fit with a collar. And due to our deep concern about not harming the animal, it's important to emphasize that the area we have in mind is located right in the middle of the property. So if we're trying to habituate the animal, it will naturally become less wary of cars. And we don't want her to go to neighboring properties and risk being shot, just because she's more trusting of us.
We worked our guts off to try and find this animal. How many have we seen already? This is the fourth one, huh?
Fourth one, yeah.
To get experiences like this, the only place I know you can do them is here at Kaima. There must be other places, but this southern Pantanal, the people have been a little bit more caring of the smaller wildlife, and you get experiences like that. Wow. Yeah, that has got to be one of the best mammal experiences on foot that I've ever experienced. That's outrageous, that stuff, yeah.
And something also that's safe, that you could bring a child on, you know?
Yeah, you could bring a kid. I mean, you bring a kid within a few meters of one of those, the child is going to be influenced into taking care of wildlife for his whole life.
Yeah, and that's what you want, especially here in the Pantanal.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
One of the least traumatic trapping methods used by Senap, and in fact used today by almost all researchers working with big cats, is the foothold trap. It's a system in which the animal, walking along a trail, is captured by the foot when the trigger goes off. Contrary to many beliefs, it is a method that, if employed carefully, does not cause injuries or problems for the animal.
Bernardo, do you copy, Bernardo? Were you able to find the carcass? So we're looking for a carcass here. Today the cowboys are rounding up the cattle for vaccination, and they found a dead cow. Our team went on ahead and have found this carcass. For sure, this cow was killed by a jaguar. There are scratches and bites on it, and they also found jaguar feces nearby. There is so much cattle around this region that the young calves end up being an easy target for the jaguar. So we're going to set a trap near the carcass and wait. It might come back. So yeah, very hopeful for tonight.
Put a foothold here and one over there. Secure it under the animal's head so it will be exposed and attract attention.
The good thing about this is I think so little is known about jaguars, and I think that every day that goes by we're learning more, we're feeling more confident. On the other hand, time is running out, so yeah, it's a balance between time and perfection.
Every time we come out to the traps, we're a little bit more focused as to where we put the leaves. We've measured the stride length of the jaguars to see exactly where the most likely positioning of feet will be, and try and block areas either side of the trap so that it needs to take a step in exactly the area that we need to catch a jaguar. This is teaching me so much about this animal and his foot placement. Interesting to see too was the fact that these animals have got such a sensitive awareness of the environment that they're walking through. They will look to see, it's almost like they're looking to see where they put each and every single footprint. Sometimes a little tiny tuft of grass and they avoid that and they put their foot on the side of it. It's amazing. This animal walks through the environment like a ghost.
We are now in the process of checking the traps after the storm we had yesterday afternoon. We had 3 traps totally under the water. It's the end of the day. That's a jaguar nearby, growling, and we're finishing checking our last trap.
The chances of a jaguar stepping in one of our traps in an area the size of Cayman is the same chance of someone stepping in a coin in a football stadium.
It's 2 nights in a row that we've come here now and we see these ocelots still here every night catching fish.
Yeah, I think it's because the cars go by every night and
They get used to them.
yeah, and they know that we don't mean any harm to them, there is no threat. So it's exactly what we're trying to achieve with the jaguar.
The jaguars, yeah.
It's amazing, eh?
So cool, yeah.
Mario, do you copy? There's a trap triggered at Chega Cedo.
Copy that. We're heading over there.
It's a strong animal, be careful. We have a wild boar caught in the trap that we had prepared to trap a jaguar. He came here for the carcass that a jaguar had been feeding on the night before. So we are going to try to hold the animal physically and remove the foothold with pliers. Wait, I'm going to pull him. He's going to lay down. Get his foot. Go.
Tell me when to go.
Go. The film crew stays back. You can let it go. Everybody get away. You go to the right. Now we have to reset the trap and wait for the next.
It's amazing how smart these animals are. There are lots of jaguars going by our camera traps. We have already identified 10 jaguars, set up 9 traps, and yet haven't captured any jaguars. They seem to be so close, but at the same time so far. We need lots of patience and also a little more luck. We know what we're doing and we're sure of the result. We're not reinventing the wheel here. We're merely readapting something highly successful already done in Africa with leopards. So whatever criticism we get, it's not going to discourage us. We're doing this in the best possible manner, with the most experienced people, and we're being backed by Senap and the Brazilian government. They understand how important it is to treasure these animals, which is exactly what we're trying to achieve.
Just look at this beautiful animal. It is female number 2. We've been seeing her a lot in our camera traps. She's very relaxed, even with us being here. I was sure we were gonna catch her.
Now we're going to approach the animal in silence. As the work here is to avoid a negative association with cars, we are only going so far in the vehicle and then getting out and walking. Getting near enough so we can administer the shot without associating the vehicle with the procedure. Hold her body. If you don't, we can't lift it. 1, 2, 3, and push. Push her more towards the back. Go on, just a little more. The anesthetic interferes with the animal's temperature control, so we have to get her out of the rain quickly in order to maintain an ideal temperature. But she's doing well. Her reflexes are good. Her heartbeat is good. We're going to move to the shelter of the cattle corral so that we can work with her in a safe environment. It will be better for her out of the rain. You can come back. Come. You can come. You can come back.
Everybody is exhausted. We've been attempting to capture these animals for many weeks, day and night, non-stop. Nobody ever imagined this stage of the project would have been so hard. But we have been learning a lot about jaguars, their habits, their territory, their behavior. They have definitely lived up to their title of Phantom of the Forest.
How much? 200 pounds.
Of the jaguars we have captured, 3 of them will continue to be monitored. And we now move on to the 3rd and 4th stages of the project, which are tracking and habituation. Two trackers from Africa are joining us next week, which will surely help us get closer to the jaguars.
I believe this project is really, really important for the jaguar conservation in a way that by associating a value or bringing some benefits of having the jaguar in the land, we increase the owner, the rancher awareness or tolerance towards the jaguar. For the government, this project is really important also because we can use the information generated here and turn into a public policies.
So what we're doing here at Caimã is a pilot project. We're finding out the best ways of habituating jaguars, and once that's accomplished, the idea is to replicate this model in other farms in the Pantanal, and who knows, all over Brazil.
Last night we saw Esperança and her cub 20 meters from here and could smell something dead. This morning we came to see what had happened, and what we found is really encouraging. Esperança hunted a capybara only 3 days after the collar was fitted on her. She may have hunted something earlier, but we're sure she didn't spend longer than 3 days without food. This is good proof that the collar doesn't interfere with her life or her daily activities. Only 3 days after being collared, she's already hunting normally.
Well, here lies the inconvenient truth. If you want to save cattle, you need to keep your wildlife alive, because I believe, and I think that a lot of the time, these carcasses are not discovered because they're too small. The vultures come, they clean up very quickly. But if you want to keep your cattle alive, try to save your indigenous wildlife, because I believe that the jaguars much prefer to eat indigenous animals like this capybara than going out and killing a big cow and losing a tooth and getting hurt.
Comparing it to a relationship between two people. If you want to get to know each other, the first thing you have to do is introduce yourself to the other person. So what we want to do with this project is we want to introduce the vehicle to this Jaguar, so that in the future, possibly her cubs, the next generation of Jaguar, will learn through her that this vehicle is not a danger. To be that close to the animal just after she's been trapped and collared, and for us to get that close and for her to be that relaxed, it's a sign for me that we did a great job. And we were very worried about the fact that obviously she might be a bit nervous because she's just had this alien capture. We captured her, we pulled ticks off her to see what was inside the ticks, we put a collar on her, all these different investigations, and now I thought she'd be terrified. As soon as the vehicle goes there, I know what I would do if I was a Jaguar. I'd run like hell.
And I think another good process of the project is that we're discovering a lot of things that Jaguars do. I mean, all of us, we were less than 10 meters from the Jaguar, and we never even thought of looking up in a tree. Suddenly someone saw it. So, like we said, I think they climb trees a lot more than we actually give it credit for.
It is a new science, this habituation of Jaguars trying to get close to animals that previously have been regarded as the ghost of the forest. Maybe they've been regarded as the ghost of the forest because everybody's been looking on the ground, not looking up in the trees. But it is nice to see the animals and to find out how they respond to what we're doing.
Well, I'm going to check the results. We have installed a camera trap on this tree. It's a morcegueiro tree because we found some scratches on it, indicating the presence of a jaguar up here. The camera trap has captured the presence of an enormous diversity of fauna, among them other mammals and birds, and we've had fun with the results that have cropped up.
Wow, this is new information. We never thought that a jaguar would climb a tree to rest or mark its territory. In the past, it was thought that they only went up trees if they felt threatened, and now we are proving the contrary. A very interesting new fact for us.
Look how nice seeing this tape is right by the car. It's maybe 10 meters away, about 30 feet. It's behaving normally, very relaxed. This is what we want to achieve with the Jaguar.
During the project, a lot of important information about jaguars was acquired using the colors and the data downloaded from the satellite. But now, with the arrival of the African trackers and the experience they bring with them, we will gradually link technology with an age-old art. With the trackers, we will begin a more natural and sustainable method of habituating the jaguars.
By looking at the vegetation, I was like, oh, this is a big challenge because it's very thick. As we walk, we make a lot of noise, and these animals can hear far from the distance. So it's one of the things that it's quite difficult for us to manage to find them easily or close or before they can hear us because of the vegetation. We've been tracking this female jaguar and her cub, Esperanza and her cub, and we've been tracking 3 hours, and we still have the track. As you can see, it's still going to that direction, but we're running short of the light, and we only track when we can still see. So I think, Richard, maybe we can just leave it from here and see if we can go back and fetch the car and come to check with the spotlight.
Yeah, that's great.
Wow, this is a very special moment. It's Natureza, Esperanza's cub on one of her hunts. What a wonderful sight. On one side, the mother observes her cub in action. On the other, her daughter, about to face one of her biggest challenges yet. Mother and cub will be together for up to 2 years, until the mother is certain her daughter can make it on her own. Esperança and natureza, meaning hope and nature. There couldn't be two better names for mother and daughter. Living in the wild is to be constantly faced with death. And tonight, Natureza learned that even for the majesty of the forest, any mistake can be fatal. Luckily, this time she got off with just a scratch.
That's good.
The techniques that we use in South Africa, sometimes, let's say I'm tracking a leopard. I know from this path, on the other side of the path, there's a pen or there's a dam. So if I track here and lose the track, the first thing that I will do is to go on the pen system to check if maybe it went there to drink water. But here it's totally different because there's water everywhere.
Can you see that?
No. We will see that the way it is like
Seems
the
like that's
here and here and somewhere around here, up until there. So if actually the tracks are around them, it means it's the same.
okay.
Yeah.
It's amazing. They can even track underwater. So I mean, Pantanal is very different from Africa. We have lots of water here, but they're doing a great job here.
It's like we said, it comes to the walk straight right down here, come out here.
All right, great. This is another difficulty they have here in Pantanal. There's a lot of cattle, and often they step over the Jaguar track. So only a very trained eye can see that there was a Jaguar track beneath the cattle one here.
Still you can see the water, but it's not long gone because you can still see the water. It's heading up.
So Andreas was saying that not long ago that the Jaguar passed through here. You can still see some wet spots, a little bit of mud, some of its fingers here, so we're on the right track.
Diego, do you copy?
Go ahead, Mario.
Diego, we have visual of Esperanza here, so the guards are clear to go explore that area.
Okay, Mario, copy. We're about 40 meters from the point. We're going to investigate what is going on there. We're going to see what we find.
Okay, copy.
Let's go. I have the GPS.
The colors were very important at the beginning of the project. With it, we were able to find where the jaguars live and analyze the territory of different jaguars. I think the future of the project is the trackers. So we brought them from Africa. They're teaching our people here in Brazil this art of tracking. But while we still have both together, we're still using this information. So we have Esperanza's territory here on the screen. Right in the middle of her territory, we can see a lot of points together where she spent the last week. So with this information, the trackers are going to be able to go there this afternoon and check what's going on.
Mario, do you copy, Mario?
Diego, go ahead.
Mario, you
you just won't believe we have 3 cubs here of Esperanza.
Wow, that's great news. Try to film a little bit. Still have visual of her here.
Alright, copy.
What a fantastic shot! Nothing could make us happier than finding these 3 beautiful cubs. This has never before been filmed in nature. The phantom of the forest, the greatest predator of the Americas, so defenseless and vulnerable. This is Esperanza's 2nd generation of cubs. They were born only a few days ago and from now on are going to be carefully monitored. If natureza feels so comfortable with our presence, these cubs will most certainly feel even more so. On Safari took another giant step forward. The project's present, past and future are linked here, in these images.
See the blood marks here, and the jaguar obviously killed the animal here and dragged it into the bush. So it's great skill just to, in the middle of the pasture, out of nowhere, just find a little blood, a little puddle of blood.
Is its mouth that big?
So we're just analyzing how this cow got killed. It seems like the jaguar suffocated it. You can see canine marks here. And just like the other day, we filmed a cow that was being suffocated. The jaguar was biting it like this, very strong, and holding it for a long time until it suffocated, which is kind of a new finding. Everybody always thought the jaguar was killed by breaking the neck or biting here, which is different again from most other cats that bite here and suffocate. So I don't know, still a lot to be learned about this cat.
So this track went through here, and we're running short of light, so we cannot follow here now. So what we will do is we will head back and take the car and come back with the spotlight and see if we can manage to find her into this block here.
You know what, when we first started this project, what you're seeing right now, people would never have believed. They said to us that the possibility of having an animal that would be so relaxed that you could view it from a vehicle was not possible. In fact, we were a bit nervous when we started this project because we thought from what other people were telling us that we were being a bit crazy. They said that this is never going to happen. This animal, you will never be able to get to trust a vehicle and people sitting on it. And right here you can see an animal that is so relaxed and doing exactly that, trusting us sitting on the vehicle. And this is through the great work of people that have been doing this project, coming up to the cat and doing it in a way This animal is not. It looks now like people would often call tame. This is not a tame animal. This is a wild animal. It hunts its own food. It sleeps out in the bush. Here I am speaking, and he lies there. That animal's got brilliant hearing. He can hear me. If he could speak English right now, he would know exactly what I'm saying. From the time that we started this project, we dreamed of a moment like this, and here we are experiencing it. I'm hoping that this is the beginning of many more encounters just like this one.
I think it's important for everyone here to be involved in the project. The children are also having fun, helping us make molds out of these tracks.
What we're trying to do here is a long-term project, and there's no point us trying to save the jaguars for it to be gone in the future. So they are the future of conservation.
Here at Caimã, as in all other properties in the Pantanal, the fences are there to limit the cattle to the pastures. And that one, hiding behind the fence, is Ivo, Yara's oldest cub. The fact that he was born during the project will certainly help a lot in his habituation. He's the jaguar that is most relaxed in our presence. We're a little more than 20 meters from him, and while he's feeding, he's being watched by two vehicles, mine and the one with the guests on the other side. This obviously reflects the trust he has in us, and certainly reinforces that the project is on the right track. There were great difficulties and challenges during the first 2 years of the project, but we never thought of giving up. And here are some of the results. We were able to map, observe, and better understand the way of life of the biggest cat in the Americas. We're also thrilled to see new generations coming along, the cubs of a project which can only grow and get better. In a short period of time, we transformed cats into numbers, numbers into names, names into characters. And they're here, getting closer and closer to us, each with its own characteristics and personality. This is Esperança, the project's great mother. During the project, we have followed two of her leaders. In the beginning, she was a little wary, a bit more cautious. Now she's very relaxed and gives us great sightings, like this one, nursing her 3 cubs. Natureza is Esperança's oldest daughter. We've been following her since birth and on her hunts alongside her mother. She found out, for example, that there's no way she can play with an adult anteater yet. Natureza is very comfortable in our presence. She's a very independent jaguar that went her own way very early on. Theorema, also known as Lady of the Lake, is charming. She's very experienced at hunting in the water. She feels totally at home. Theorema is one of the oldest jaguars of the project. She's a severe but very protective mother. She gave birth to Pythagoras. This is Pythagoras. He was also born during the project, a very shy jaguar who always manages to hide from us. Yara, approximately 10 years old, is the most experienced female jaguar that the project follows. We only had a few encounters with her, but they were all magical. What is really magical is the cub she brought into the world. Ivo is like a big kid, or better, a beautiful young jaguar. He's the most shameless of all. Playful and very relaxed, he allows the team to get very close. He's a real show-off. Fantasma, meaning ghost, like Yara, Ivo and a few other jaguars, has never been captured. He's most certainly the oldest and dominant male in this region. His ease and confidence comes from his strength, his greatest characteristic. A very well-respected jaguar, with a huge territory. In this short but intense space of time, it was possible to build a small but important genealogical tree of these cats. Trees of a forest that tends to keep on growing. Since I was a child, I always knew I would someday work with conservation. Maybe this is the reason why I've become so close to animals in the last 20 years. I went to China to see giant pandas in the wild, to the north of Canada to see polar bears. I went to India to see tigers, to Uganda in order to see mountain gorillas, and other African countries to get really close to lions and leopards. With every trip, I felt this desire grow. But it is here, in the middle of the Pantanal, in the heart of Brazil, that the dream of that 12-year-old boy will start to come true. And this is just the beginning.